TREX Arms has just released its newest holster. This is an incredibly sophisticated design, and it utilizes the most advanced materials we have ever worked with. So why is it that it harkens back to an older holster design than we have ever emulated? So, we are inside the holster dev area, and I'm talking to Josiah, who is in charge of the Kydex holster development department and process, and we're talking about specifically the Ironside holster, but hybrid style holsters and hybrid holsters in general, and why we made the Ironside, how we made the Ironside, and what we made the Ironside out of. So, Joe, why first of all, why hybrid holsters? They offer comfort. Why do we care about comfort at TREX Arms? Do we care about comfort at TREX Arms? Apparently we do.
Sometimes. No.
Sometimes.
So when we're looking at holsters in general, the way we think about them is you basically have three different categories you're working with. So you have like your performance, your comfort, and your concealability. Obviously Sidecar is our main product and has been for a while, and the Kydex and Precision Kydex shells that you get ultimate performance out of those things, and they conceal fairly well. The biggest downside on those is the comfort side of things. So when we looked at the whole, like, what could we innovate at? What could we help our customers with? You can only improve concealment so much without actually reducing accessibility and reducing your performance.
Right, yeah.
So the obvious factor to improve was the comfort.
And you don't care about comfort. I don't care about comfort. But some people would like a comfortable way to carry.
I don't not care about comfort.
Sure.
I just don't always prioritize it. I mean, there's a certain aspect when you're actually carrying a holster, it's never going to be as comfortable as not carrying a holster, right? I mean, not having something inside your waistband is more comfortable.
For sure. But the more comfortable it is, the easier it is to carry, the more likely you are to carry, the more likely you are prepared.
Well, we all have those friends or relatives that have tried carrying with Kydex or something like that, and it's just very uncomfortable for them because of body type or something like that. And something that we really care a lot about is making sure that we can get as many people carrying as possible to save as many lives as possible.
Yeah.
With that in mind, the next progression was, once we had identified that as the key area to work from, we thought about, okay, obviously you have hybrids out there, and they fix that problem, right? They make them more comfortable, but they sacrifice performance, which is a no-no for us.
Performance, and I would say safety as well. Depending on the materials don't last as long, but also hybrids were a much more functional option before weapon lights were common.
Yeah, that's true.
It's much easier to grab the trigger guard than it is to grab a weapon light.
You have more locating. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a traditional hybrid, obviously you just have the material on the back side, and then you have your Kydex shell on the front, but it wasn't everything we were looking for. So we're like, well, we've already got the perfect solution for performance, right? Which is a complete Kydex shell. Yeah. So why don't we just keep that and create a backer for it?
And it really only adds, with the Ironside holster, we're using 093 Kydex, so it adds less than 1/10 of an inch to have a little bit of Kydex on the back, and it buys you more adjustability, more security, better performance, and lets you run weapon lights safer.
The goal is to give you all the performance of a Kydex holster with the comfort of a hybrid holster. Just kind of combine those two. So we started development on the backer, which was a long and interesting journey. Obviously you have more traditional materials like leather that you could go down. A lot of people choose that. Yeah,
and there are a lot of different holster companies that have made a lot of different hybrid holsters using a lot of different materials. And like the hybrid as a whole, they have strengths and weaknesses. And we were trying to come up with a material that would have all of the strengths and none of the weaknesses.
Right.
So let's start with leather. Leather is the most traditional one, and leather is extremely comfortable, and it is extremely durable. It does spray over time, but it's extremely durable to begin with. It lasts for a long time until it does start to stretch and fray, and its maintenance is difficult with leather. If you're running it up against your skin, it's comfortable, but you're running it up against your skin eventually.
Yeah, you'll get the sweat in there and water.
Yeah.
As we all know, it'll start forming to whatever strains it is. That's what leather does great. That's why it's somewhat comfortable, like shoes or whatever, is they start shaping to your foot. But then that means it's going to start shaping to your gun, which is going to reduce your,
It's going to reduce the
retention
retention and
yeah.
And then the other thing is you want some rigidity. Leather's pretty good at this. Because you're using the pad or the backer or the flexible material to attach the clips to the holster. You need some rigidity so it isn't too floppy. So leather's good at that, but it has these other downsides. So after leather, what do we got? Some kind of foam cloth things. I've seen a number of cloth-based backers.
Yeah, so another common solution, which does work somewhat well, is to go with some sort of mesh and sew onto that with
Gives you some breathability that leather doesn't have. Yep.
Washable. Exactly. The biggest disadvantage what we found with a mesh was mesh against your skin just doesn't feel very comfortable. When it's something that worked really well against skin, and mesh can just kind of rub you raw over time.
Yeah.
So we did some testing with that. Also, sewing is something that is a tricky thing to really master as far as something we had experience with.
There's also a structural issue. You don't have the same rigidity as when you are hanging the gun from the clips.
Right.
As with leather or with something that is a little stiffer.
Right. And most people get over that by adding some sort of plastic insert that's cut out to give it more structure.
Yep.
And that can work.
Now you got a bunch of pieces together and you're adding weight.
Right. The manufacturing process is not as straightforward. It doesn't then wash as well. And then the biggest one is the comfort was not really where we wanted it to be.
How about rubber? Because there's all sorts of big rubber pads.
Right.
They're solid, but they drill holes in them to get around the breathability part. They've got some rigidity to them, and they're washable. You can just wash.
Yeah, honestly, that was one of the first things we went into testing. We got some good old hot pads. Thought, if we got a honeycomb structure, was aimed to laminate on something like that, we could really get get what we were looking for.
And I will say it turned out amazing.
It was fantastic. So it obviously had its complications as far as the manufacturing process, but it did lead to the idea, which was kind of the next progression, which was, okay, what if we use some sort of foam? Open cell foam was the next thing we looked into. But then we realized the problem with this design and the problem with open cell foams was the fact that if you add breathability, but you can't access the breathability, then it becomes a maintenance nightmare.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to get all the sweats and all that gunk inside your pad.
Exactly.
And in a few years, this thing, you're not going to want to be around that.
Right. Leather is even better than that foam.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The other thing is the foam offers something really nice, which is this foam is pretty rigid, but it offers some squishability.
Right.
It offers a lot of comfort that the leather doesn't quite give you. It's a great surface finish against your skin, but it isn't a cushion in the same way that some of these foams give you a lot of cushion, and that's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so the next progression was foam, which did give us pretty much everything we were looking for. Initially went for open cell testing and stuff like that. Again, we had the hygiene problems with it. So we thought, okay, what if we created something that was, the foam gave us enough structure, but also would give us cushion, so actually more comfort than leather, which is cool. And then we put some kind of sort of surface on top of it. So the next part of that whole thing was like, okay, what kind of materials? So we did a bunch of research into what kind of materials actually work.
There's lots more prototypes and experiments.
A lot of dead ends. What kind of materials work well against skin? So that research was pretty in-depth. I'm a car guy, which led me to think of what is something that is always against people's skin all the time, that has to be durable, that people run AC through, so they punch holes in it.
And it's tested.
It's well known. And that's what kind of led to the concept of starting to look into the microfibers and Alcantara specifically.
And so this is the final product. It is Alcantara on the front and the back, and it is that soft cushiony foam on the inside. We have the holes for breathability, but we also have, this is sealed so that it is extremely washable. There isn't stuff getting into the foam. The Alcantara protects the foam. Has, all the strengths really of all of these different materials without the weaknesses. And I love the fact that we have sealed the Alcantara around the edges to protect the foam, but also around all of these holes, which gives it more structural integrity. There's this tension and compression with the material because it is attached throughout the material. Very breathable, very washable.
Found some
Turned out well.
materials that would give us some of the principles, but then they weren't stiff enough on the backer. So because you're using a foam that's smushy and a material that's obviously a fabric or something, if the material itself didn't have enough structured properties, then the post and stuff would pull through and it wouldn't give us the, there's a lot of other ones out there, ultra suede, other ones that we looked at that gave us most of the same properties, but you could actually stretch it and that would just allow stuff to pull through.
And it's an easy problem to fix if you put giant rubber washers and things in the back. But if you're looking for slimness and comfort and something that is really simple to take apart so you can wash this part, put back together, you want the simplicity of a single piece part.
Yep.
Yeah. So we think that we have not invented something brand new. We haven't really reinvented the wheel, but we have improved on the hybrid style. This is a hybrid style holster, not a true hybrid. But it is a hybrid material on the back that we believe really does give the best possible performance, the best possible maintenance, the best possible comfort. Still has that really nice cushiony, pillowy soft cushion feel to it. So yeah. So why are we telling everybody our secrets? Why are we telling everybody what materials we're using for these things? I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise. We've open sourced pieces of, I think every single holster we made, so it should come as no shock. But we like competition in the marketplace. We like constant improvement inside of TREX, but we also like seeing the industry improve itself over time. So do you think people will start using more of this material, more of this kind of composite?
I think it's likely. Obviously, if it turns out to be as successful as we hope it is going to be, then I think that is very likely. Yeah, going back to that, as part of our mantra is to get as many people carrying as possible. And so, yes, open sourcing something that's a good idea. We're not just out here to make money. If other people adopt it and it gets more people carrying, then that is part of our mission, and that helps us succeed with our goal. So.
Yeah. We'll probably talk more about this in the future, but we have this interesting relationship with other holster makers where in the one sense we are competitors and trying to make a better product than they have, and seeing them make a better product than us and seeing that kind of improvement. But we're also allies at the same time. If we want as many people as possible to carry, there are guns that we don't support. There are millions of people who buy firearms every year, and technically we just cannot make millions of holsters every year. We really don't have the room. So we are allies in the same goal of arming and allowing people to carry. And so there is this very interesting competitive but partner relationship. It's part of the reason we didn't show any other hybrid holsters on this table. We have lots and lots of them. We've tested them, we've experimented them, but we didn't want to hold one up and talk about the weaknesses because we like those companies. And if this works for you, this is great. If you like the other hybrid styles and they're working for your particular weapon system that you are carrying, that is great too. So we didn't want to throw anybody under the bus by criticizing their designs or their materials directly. But I do think this is an improvement, and it's an improvement that other people can now go and build on. We also can't take credit for Alcantara. Like it's not only supercar stuff, but I've been using this Surface computer and this keyboard for a couple of years now, and you can barely tell the wear on this. It's held up super well.
It is not a cheap material, but it is a fantastic material.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's
high performance.
Yeah.
So very good. Well, so the good news is you can now buy the backer that goes directly onto a standard Ironside holster. If you already have an Ironside holster, the only thing you have to get is the backer, and you can try this out, taking it from an outside the waistband to an inside the waistband holster. And then you can also get the thing pre-configured and hardwared as well. So I'm looking forward to feedback on this. It's only been in the wild for days. Obviously there's been tons of internal testing, but
I'm super excited to see how people react to this product, because I do think it's going to be one of those. There's a lot of people, again, that we've met that we haven't been able to push over the edge to carry just because there hasn't been a good product for it. I mean, again, hybrid holsters serve their purpose and worked really well.
A long tradition, highly tested, highly appreciated by a big chunk of people.
Yeah, but we think hopefully this is the next progression of that concept.
Yeah, and again, this is something that we hope really benefits TREX customers. And if this proves out, this is something that people like, hopefully this will be just kind of the next stepping stone. The industry will continue to leapfrog and improve, serve everybody, and build out that citizens defense industry that we keep hinting at, but never fully explaining. Maybe the next video. So, this was not always called the Ironside Hybrid backer. During development, it had a much cooler name, which
Yes.
I think both of us still prefer.
I miss it.
You wanna let people know what it was?
Yeah, we call it the Gambison. You know,
Yes.
it's the perfect thing. You got your armor, your Ironside, and it's protecting you and giving you pad, but it's also a functional piece, the Gambison.
It is the perfect name, but the only people who know about Gambisons are, I don't know, HEMA nerds, people who watch Shadiversity and various other medieval combat channels. Those are the guys who know who Gambisons are.
We couldn't convince marketing that it would be a good name, unfortunately.
Despite the fact that now that you know that it is a really good name, you can see its superiority.
It clearly.
There was another name that didn't get picked.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can say it on this.
Well, it was your idea, so it's up to you.
Nope, never happened. Also wasn't my idea. The end.